Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to MSK Innovations. I'm your host, TJ Halverson, and today we have another great event lined up for you with surgical targeted solutions, Incirqle and JWP Solutions. Now, before we introduce our panel, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's event, the DeAngelis Group. For over 25 years, the DeAngelis Group has been exclusively serving the MSK industry, placing some of the great leaders to grow wonderful innovations and technologies to help more patients thrive. Now, before we jump into the first presentation, we'll introduce our panel. Today, we welcome back Chris Lyons. We have Robin Young joining us momentarily. We have Drew DeAngelis, and we have a first time on the panel, Michael Collins. So we'll provide a moment to allow each of them to give a quick intro. We'll start with you, Michael Collins, since it's the first time on the panel.
Yeah, thanks, TJ. I appreciate it. Michael Collins. I'm with Core Medical Ventures. We are a venture studio. We partner with surgeons, doctors, and inventors and help bring their ideas all the way through commercialization. So we've got a portfolio of companies mostly focused in the MSK space. Very excited to see all three of these presentations today. And thanks for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. All right, Mr. Lyons,
Yeah,
welcome
good to
back.
see. Yeah, good to see everybody. Chris Lyons. I run Southern Metrics Consulting out of the Memphis area, and have been in the industry 37 years, working for big strategics, as well as now running my own consulting firm for the last 9. I cannot believe that.
Time flies when you're having fun. And Drew, go ahead and provide a quick intro.
Okay, Drew DeAngelis here. Here incognito with my sunglasses and my hat because I'm in sunny California, getting out of the heat in Arizona. I have been in the orthopedic industry for going on 40 years. The last 26 years, I've been at the DeAngelis Group and helping entrepreneurs, small companies, mid-sized companies scale through the acquisition of exceptional leadership. And so it's a privilege to be here with you, TJ, and this illustrious panel. Thank you so much.
Of course. Now, before we get into our first presentation, just a quick note on MSK Innovations. We are not a broker-dealer nor an investment advisor. This venue is for informational purposes only and not to be considered investment advice. Conduct your own due diligence prior to making any investment. And with that, we will get into our first presentation from Wael, the CEO of JWP Solutions. Wow, take it away.
Thank you, TJ. I'm going to share my screen and my presentation. Let me know if you can see it.
We got it.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Wael Rawashdi, co-founder and CEO of JWP. We're developing the next generation of drug-eluting bone allografts. We're transforming bone grafts into personalized in-bone micropharmacies. Today, I'll introduce OsteoFlux, our market entry product for orthopedic infections, and how we're building this platform capable of changing treatment for complex MSK diseases. Bone infections remain one of the most challenging conditions in orthopedic surgery. Every year, osteomyelitis affects about 22 patients per 100K population. 30% of open fractures develop an infection, and even after treatment, up to 20% of the patients are readmitted, highlighting the persistent clinical burden. Despite significant advances in orthopedic surgery, many complex infected fractures and bone defects still required stage management. The first procedure focuses on infection control through surgical debridement, followed by 4 to 6 weeks of systemic antibiotics, and that is different among different countries. In the US, it's generally 6 weeks. Once the infection is controlled, patients often require a second surgery for bone grafting and reconstruction. This staged approach increases healthcare costs, prolonged recovery, exposes patients to systemic side effects, and consumes valuable operating room resources. At JWP, we asked a simple question: can we eliminate the second surgery? Not by reducing debridement or replacing it, or replacing systemic antibiotics, but by combining local antimicrobial control and bone defect regeneration in the same operative episode. OsteoFlux combines a natural regenerative bone scaffold, which is proprietary industrial processed human allograft, with localized precision drug delivery. through pharmacological techniques and nanomedicine technologies in a single implant. Our vision is to enable a single-stage procedure that reduces recovery time, minimizes systemic side effects, lowers healthcare costs, and increases hospital capacity. The concept is not a wild idea. In fact, surgeons have attempted to load antibiotics in human grafts in the OR setting and had some valuable clinical outcomes. However, these preparations are empirical. They lack standardization, lack engineering of drug loading, and particularly release kinetics. At JWP, we're transforming this clinically demonstrated principle into a standardized, programmable, precision-engineered therapeutic platform capable of reproducible manufacturing and scalable commercialization. While OsteoFlex is designed to improve patient outcomes, adoption in orthopedics is ultimately driven by economics. By enabling a single-stage treatment approach, OsteoFlex has the potential to reduce the total episode cost while fitting directly into the existing payment system and surgical workflows. In other words, we believe hospitals will adopt OsteoFlex because it delivers a better clinical and economic solution. CeramNG is an important market comparator because it validated the demand for an adjunct single-stage local antibiotic delivery in bone defects, unlike PMMAs and other cements that are still 2 stages. But it remains an adjunct synthetic bone void filler with a front-loaded antibiotic release profile, a very short elution duration under 5 days, and a limited regenerative potential. OsteoFlex is different. We are building a human allograft-based therapeutic implant designed for sustained active elution extending to beyond 3 weeks, reduced burst release, and integration with the patient's own bone biology. While our flagship product, OsteoSyn, which is a few years down the line, then OsteoFlex, expands into programmable multi-drug release with distinct elution kinetics specifically designed for targeting the complex diseases, aspects such as targeting the biofilm and the planktonic bacteria, or calibrating the biological milieu, setting the stage for a standalone therapeutic option in the future. The technology itself is drug agnostic, and we have nanomedicine-based and trigger-activated drug release techniques, enabling future expansion into orthopedic oncology, particularly in osteolytic tumors and metastatic lesions, and dental reconstruction. So we tested our prototypes using the same published in vitro model and techniques used by bone support for CeramNG, including the partial media exchange over time, which you see here in the graph. CeramNG shows a rapid front-loaded release profile, and their publication states that 95% of the antibiotic was released by day 4. Our OsteoFlex prototype eliminated the initial burst and maintained active antibiotic release over several weeks. Importantly, the prototype stayed above the gentamicin MIC threshold by more than 25-fold, under the potential osteoblast toxic concentration while extending the clinical relevant release to 4 weeks. With other formulation that we have in the prototype design, we can extend this to reach 6 weeks. Moreover, sustained active release over weeks is designed to create a continuous local antibiotic gradient, which we believe could support future applications in larger segmental defects beyond the current limitation of burst release systems, such as CeramNG, which is limited to under 1 centimeter. Finally, we added a physiochemical pump. You see it between day 7 and day 11 for the prototype in green, where that pump allows a significant push into the release to really reach those higher gradients and deeper areas. For us, this demonstrates that OsteoFlex is an engineered drug-eluting bone implant with programmable release behavior. This slide visualizes the same concept in a simpler way. We're using a fluorescent dye as a model drug to show these differences. The burst release material releases most of the antibiotic early on, and after simulated fluid exchange, the active signal rapidly disappears. In fact, after a full exchange, there is more release within 12 hours. OsteoFlex behaves differently. It does not suffer from the early burst release. Even the media exchange designed to mimic the surgical site fluid turnover, the prototype continues to release the model drug. This supports our core USP, sustained, controlled local delivery, rather than the early burst release and bust. We also learned from surgeons that adoption will not be just driven by the technology alone. Calcium sulfate-based products, such as CeramNG, are associated with wound drainage and leakage, a documented clinical and workflow problem. To reduce this issue, Bone Support and other companies that make such products often prepared as a preset beads before implementation. But that adds workflow complexity, additional operating room time, and cost. OsteoFlux was designed to overcome these limitations. It is injectable, packable into the bone defect, resistant to irrigation, and mechanically stable enough for handling the surgical field. This is important because OsteoFlux is not only designed to improve local drug delivery, it is designed to solve the practical adoption problems in the OR. The reason we can execute this is that this is not our first orthopedic product. Regardless of my cancer background and CAR-T programs, products brought to the market. But Jacob and I have both previously built and commercialized FDA-cleared bone allografts products in the US. I led product development, manufacture, process validation. I secured significant non-dilutive funding across the US and Europe in my previous industrial engagement. Jacob led the commercial execution, market entry, distributor development, and revenue growth for FDA cleared orthopedic allografts. So JWP is not trying to learn orthobiologics. We are repeat orthopedic innovators building what we believe is the next generation of orthopedic bone implants. The progress has been externally validated. We won the BioRiver Boost in 2025, a leading biotech and medtech startup competition in our state in Germany, led by industry leaders such as Bayer and Lonza and Miltony. In 2026, we were selected among the top medtech startups by Plug and Play. We were corporate referred by Zimmer Biomet and invited to pitch at Zimmer Biomet global headquarters. In May, Zimmer Biomet and Parkview Health have both assigned corporate ambassadors to JWP. And we have clinical LOIs and discussions with leading orthopedic centers in Germany and the US. So the market is already engaging. Industry, hospitals, clinicians, and investors are recognizing that OsteoFlux addresses a real and investable clinical gap. We also built an advisory board intentionally around the key risks of the company. Clinically, we're supported by Professor Frank Hildebrand, one of Germany's leading orthopedic trauma surgeons, currently the president of the German Orthopedic Surgery Society, and scientifically by Professor Tuan Lammers, a good friend of mine, a global leader in drug delivery and controlled release. On the commercial, IP, finance, and branding side, we brought in advisors with deep experience in the US medical device commercialization, intellectual property, investment, and market positioning. This is important because OsteoFlux sits at the intersection of orthopedics, drug delivery, biologic regulation, and commercialization. So basically, we're not building an academic advisory board. We're building an advisory structure needed to bring this product to market. We are raising 2.4 million euros in a seed round. That's about $2.8 million. The round is focused on OsteoFlux, our market entry product, and funds the company through MVP completion, preclinical and GLP activities, regulatory work, and FDA submission readiness. We are looking for investors and strategic partners who understand orthopedic biologics and opportunity to build the next generation of in-bone therapeutics. Thank you so much for your opportunity and for the time. I'd love to take your questions.
Great presentation.
Yeah, great.
Very
Panel, go
intriguing.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just jump in real quick.
Yeah.
I started my career in the 1900s. I won't tell you when, but it's old enough to where I was one of my first gigs was I was the Palico Cement product manager at Richards Medical. And of course, antibiotics, antibiotic infusion, antibiotic beads, all the stuff, right? I like what you're doing here. This makes a lot of sense. And it's impressive to me if I saw in that study, and I have a question about this, that you take basically a 22% infection rate down to 3.3 is what it looked like. Is that fair?
In these studies that have used the bone allografts? Yes.
Right. That's an 85% reduction. That's amazing. And we need this more than ever. It baffles my mind why we're still dealing with such an issue when it comes to infection. I remember when the major strategics were selling laminar flow rooms into the ORs so that they could prevent. And today it's like, there's so much stuff in the hospital, it's ridiculous. My question to you is this. From a DRG standpoint, at a $7,500 price point, I think I saw, right? How is that fitting, or does it need its own reimbursement? What's the situation look like right now?
Well, excellent question regarding the pricing. So we looked at the pricing of the comparable products, and of course, in the US, there are a larger range than in Europe, the wider range. So we know what the price range is, and we know what the price elasticity is. It's never under 6,000, and it's up to 10,000, generally between the 7 and the 10. So we're pricing it at a median, but actually, if you look at a distribution on a quartile, we're below we're in the Q2, not actually in the Q3. So that's why we believe, according to our calculation and pricing strategy, that we'll be not just competitive by adding the clinical value to it, but actually also competitive on a price range.
Okay. But any challenge with reimbursement that you can see, or is there going to be
We
a
have looked
special
deep
code?
into this. We have looked deep into this, and we've also engaged with multiple reimbursement experts, and also payment in general. The payment strategy is not just reimbursement. We do not see an issue there. The reimbursement is based on the therapy code and then the clinical code. The clinical code is not going to change. That's different than the regulatory coding, of course. But a single stage osteomyelitis, a bone void filler already exists. That's why we're not asking actually to make new codes, nor the healthcare system to change. We're really optimizing those inefficiencies that are due actually to the material, honestly speaking. Antibiotics work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If
No, I
they're
like it.
delivered
Thank you.
in the right time and in the right place for the right duration, right?
Sure. Great answer.
The issue is the material.
So, yeah, that was. Oh, go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to jump onto that. Sorry, TJ, of just understanding the workflow. You're still having a systemic, right, dose of antibiotics for the patient. This is adjunctive to that, along with adjunctive to debridement, that you need to debride to create space for the bone grafting material, essentially, right? Your product requires debridement to still happen to make space. Am I understanding all that correctly?
Correct. For the market entry product, that is the case. For the flagship product, that would be the case where we would not. The aim is to do, because we have to do really heavy clinical trials here, to aim to completely eliminate it's not adjunct anymore, it's a standalone. But to go from nothing to that in one step as a startup is just not possible.
Yeah, so I guess in understanding that, debridement is somewhat of the most challenging part here, right? Of how much debridement do you need to have, right? In a conjunction with how much material are you actually needing to provide? So have you looked at what that dosing looks like, of how much of your product do you need to get to that 85% reduction?
Correct. So we've seen, based on the clinical data that we have analyzed, and based on what the other products are actually going through, the debridement generally is in the millimeters, depending on the protocol. So in the US, in different states, a little bit different than Europe. In Germany, is definitely different. Some will go, well, a millimeter or two after that tissue. Some will go, no, I need a clearance of at least half a centimeter in, and that creates a larger void. So the product itself will come in a 5 and 10 cc's, right? Okay. Generally, most of the time, because of the sizes of the defects, it's around the 10 that is being used, sometimes more, sometimes less, but generally it's about 10. The issue becomes is there going to be any need to cover it, right? Whether you have any flap, or is there going to be any metal plate that has to be put because it's load bearing and the void is a little too deep, where you have an issue with any load bearing and you have to stabilize it. We're expecting to, again, not change the clinical protocol. We're not asking the surgeons to change how they debride, right? And the filling. We're saying, okay, we have a better technology for you, that you really make sure that you have elution that is sustained over weeks, and the material itself is regenerative once the creeping substitution actually takes place.
So I've got one extension question to that. I spent 13 years in the dental industry, and I saw that you had a dental indication. So quick dental question here from number one, can you get COGS down to a point where this can be cost effective for dental, i.e. a ASP in the hundreds of dollars, like sub sub $300 on a single cc. And two, if you can get that down to a single cc, do you still get the same effective power of the antibiotics? Because essentially on a dental implant, you need 1 to 2 cc's at most.
Yes. Yes. For your first part of the question, I don't have a good answer right now. I really have to look into the modeling that we've done, especially that we're focusing on the infection in the skeletal aspect. For the dental question, however, I have to point out it's not enough to just have the antibiotic because of the microenvironment of the jaw and everything that goes around it. So apart from having an infection, which happens very often, the thinness of the bone and the amount of other factors playing at the biological milieu are very important. For the dental, we will not have just antibiotic. We would have to reset actually the inflammatory microenvironment first, because you can treat an infection and not regrow bone because inflammation is still there.
Mhm.
I also think you've got an indication as an adjunctive, not to just treat, but to
Yeah.
prevent. So you've got high risk
Correct.
patients getting dental implants that if you could
Yeah.
fill the void that's already there with your material
Yeah.
ahead, you would prevent, well, you would accelerate, right, bone growth onto implants that normally wouldn't, right, be good candidates. Excellent
All right.
presentation. I'll
Yeah. No, that was great. Great presentation. We'll keep it moving. Thank you again, Dr. Weil. You can go ahead. There's a few questions in the chat if you want to go and answer those. And then I know you are joining us all the way from Germany, so go ahead and drop off. Thanks for taking a late night with us.
Thank
and
you.
Thank
join
you,
in.
everybody, and thanks for the opportunity. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure.
You.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Great job, Wes.
And with that, we'll move on to our next presentation with Gabe Zabo from Surgical Targeted Solutions.
Right.
And Gabe, while you're pulling that up, we do have Robin Young, who has joined us as our third and fourth
Hey,
panelist.
Robin.
Thanks for jumping in.
Hey guys, sorry about the late arrival.
It's early morning. We'll forgive you.
Okay, can everybody see my presentation okay?
Yes,
You
sir.
got it.
Fantastic. So I'll go ahead and get started. I'm Gabe Zabo, and I'm the CEO of Surgical Targeted Solutions. And we're developing an orthopedic surgical navigation system that acts like a GPS tracker so that surgeons can see where they are at all times during procedures. STARS was developed by orthopedic surgeons who identified the problem because they lived it in the operating room. Dr. David Kay founded OrthoHelix, which exited for $135 million. Dr. Brian Den Hartog was a board member of Crossroad Extremities, which exited for $250 million. Paul Garden was general counsel at Spectranetics, which exited for $2.2 billion. And I've been in senior leadership positions at J&J, Spectranetics, Philips, as well as startup companies, helping them achieve large exits. We've built medtech companies and exited. We know how to do this. So in orthopedic surgery, procedures like femoral fractures, hip fractures, SI joint fusion, pelvic procedures are performed freehand without guidance. So in a typical procedure, the surgeon advances a guide wire a couple of millimeters, stops, takes an X-ray image, studies the image, advances some more, up to 100 times per procedure. This can lead to inaccurate guide wire placement, longer procedure times, and excessive radiation exposure. And studies have shown that orthopedic surgeons have higher cancer rates than the general population. So with Surgical Targeted Solutions, we've developed a real-time instrument tracking technology. Instead of guessing where the tool is in the bone, surgeons can see exactly where they are in real time with continuous monitoring. No more guessing where they are with two simple X-ray images, no more advanced stop X-ray up to 100 times. Our system is designed to improve accuracy, efficiency, and safety. By improving accuracy, we reduce revision rates. Complication rates for hip, femoral fractures, and ACLs were over 26%, largely driven by inaccurate guide wire placement. By reducing procedure times, hospitals can do more procedures and reduce healthcare costs. The average cost of an OR is $62 a minute. Saving minutes matters. And by our system reduces radiation exposure. So by reducing X-ray images by over 85%, we reduce the effects of excessive radiation exposure to surgeons and their staff. So let me share an animation of our system in action.
Every year, surgeons perform thousands of procedures freehand, or in other words, without real-time visualization. STARS changes that. Designed to improve accuracy, efficiency, and safety, it is the only system that provides real-time tracking of the surgeon's instrument of choice, with as few as 2 X-rays, down from up to 100 per procedure, less radiation, less time. The surgeon sees every millimeter in real time with their own instrument. No more of the constant back and forth of advancing a few millimeters and taking another X-ray. Just clarity. First time, every time.
So in 2026, we attended the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeon Conference, and we conducted market research with orthopedic trauma surgeons. And here's some typical feedback that we got. I've been waiting for somebody to make something like this. This is a winner. You go from a bad day to every day is a good day. Maybe that's the tagline. There's no extrapolation. You know exactly where the guide wire is going. That's the best part. That's the part that everybody struggles with. These are examples of product market fit. STARS is competing in the $60 billion orthopedic surgery space, growing at 5%, but we're entering with femoral fractures, which is a high volume, high need space. And then we'll progress to other trauma procedures, pelvic procedures, and then spine procedures. We have concurrence with the FDA that we can use ourselves as a predicate to expand into other indications. So one approval opens up many markets. This is a true platform technology. We have a robust IP portfolio with 2 issued patents and 6 patent families, and we're continuing to add to our IP portfolio as we continue through product development. Our primary competitor is status quo, or surgeons performing unguided freehand procedures. Robotic systems are incredibly expensive, and they're not indicated for the procedures that we're going after. And surgical navigation systems entering the marketplace only provide image analysis. They don't do real-time tracking of the surgeon's instrument. STARS is the only company that provides real-time tracking of the surgeon's instrument and keeps their instrument in their hands. So our foundation is set. Our hardware and software is being finalized. Our quality system is established. We've had 3 pre-submissions with the FDA where we have concurrence on our 510(k) strategy. And upon FDA clearance, we'll start a limited market release and then move into full commercialization. And we believe that we're an attractive acquisition target to companies like Stryker, Zimmer Biomet, J&J, as well as other companies. Our go-to-market strategy is that we're going to target orthopedic trauma surgeons and level 1 trauma centers. And you heard on a previous slide the great excitement that trauma surgeons have for our technology. So upon clearance, we'll start a limited market release where we'll focus 3 to 6 months validating our sales assumptions in 3 to 5 markets. And concurrently, we will initiate a registry study where we'll capture health economics data and outcomes data that we'll leverage to get into other institutions and other high potential markets. Our revenue is based on a razor blade model with a capital sale between $50,000 and $75,000, which is significantly below the $1 million price point of robotic systems. And we also have then recurring revenues of $750 per procedure. And we believe that our price points will lead to rapid adoption because we're below the capital appropriation threshold at the Value Analysis Committee. Capital efficient, scalable, recurring. These are attributes of a great acquisition target. Comparables in the orthopedic space are between $135 million and $1.1 billion, and M&A activity in the orthopedic space has been robust as orthopedic strategics are looking for enabling technologies to enhance their product portfolio. And we believe we're an ideal enabling technology because we'd be complementary to their portfolios and opening up new business opportunities for them. We're currently in a seed round, looking to raise up to $5 million with a convertible note. Terms of our note are an 8% interest, 20% discount, and a $12 million valuation. To date, we've raised $2.8 million towards that goal, and our lead investor, UCA Capital, is committed to investing $1.25 million on top of that. And use of proceeds of this round will be to take us to FDA submission. And this milestone will take us from development stage to commercial stage. So in summary, STARS is fulfilling a significant unmet need in the orthopedic surgery space and competing in large multi-billion-dollar markets. We have a robust IP portfolio and the seasoned medtech team to take this technology to market. All of this leads to a great investment opportunity. Thanks for the opportunity to share a story. I'd love to answer any questions.
Mr. Young, you're up. We stole your time.
Well, first of all, I thank you guys. It's great to be here. Number one, I really like that you're focusing on the trauma market. That's an unserved market. Frankly, spine is rich with navigation and robotics. Trauma is not. Number two, I watched carefully twice the video showing how it works. Incredibly simple. I'm going to guess, correct me if I'm wrong, the learning curve is roughly 5 minutes or 10.
Quick.
Not 30 cases.
No, and I totally agree with that because we designed this to stay within their existing clinical workflow, and we leverage trauma orthopedic surgeons to give us that direction. So we keep the workflow simple, and this is about how do we enable them to do their procedures better, faster, more accurate.
Yeah. Look, I'm just guessing, but this sounds like the KISS approach.
Yep.
Yes.
Anyway, look, here's the question, and this is actually the acid test. So you've got all that going for you. Obviously, a lot of smart guys at this company, been there before. What's your reimbursement rate for this? You said it was $750 cost per procedure, about a 50 to 75K upfront cost. I know in the spine world, the procedure is about $350 per procedure. Is this going to come out of the facility charge on the reimbursement side? How does this, reimbursement wise, how does this get paid for?
Yeah. So the product, the $750 is going to come out of the reimbursement, the DRG that the hospitals are getting today. As I mentioned, we're going to be conducting a registry study where we're going to be capturing economics data. And at that point, we're going to leverage that data to get a LCD or local coverage decision where we'll then look to get reimbursement for some of that disposable cost.
So I'm going to pass it on to the next person right now, but I'll end with a real quick comment. This is the beauty of being in trauma. This has a very low elasticity of demand, so it really doesn't matter in that sense whether it's out of the facility charge or not. So anyway, congratulations. This looks really great.
Thanks, Robin.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I just want to jump on to where Robin was going with this. I love the trauma side as well. It looks like training is simple. Can you do this just on sawbones, or how easy is it going to be to train all these traumatologists?
And actually, that's what we've used when we went to AAOS. We actually brought in the sawbones. We had our system. They were practicing on sawbones. And our intent is that this can actually be used as a simulator to gamify And that was one of the things as we talked to these directors of trauma, they were looking at this as a way to get the residents up to speed, the emerging surgeons up to speed very quickly.
And is this, I know you've got this as femoral fractures being the first indication in the pre-subs that you've done, which commend you for doing 3 pre-subs to get there. Do you have to clear this for each indication, or
We
are
do.
you clearing a platform with multiple indications in it?
Honestly, Michael, I'd love to do one for all, but the reality is, as we met with the chief of robotics and surgical navigation, their direction to us was very clear. You've got to get a clearance for each indication, but the fact that we can use ourselves as a predicate makes it very straightforward. And since these are all cadaver studies, there's no human studies required. It's very straightforward to get the next indication, and we've got those teed up. Once we get the first indication, we then move into long bone, we then move into pelvis, and then move into other areas of interest.
And so how does that great answer and view perspective that you now have that's a clear path. How does this work relative to devices? Are you device agnostic based on application, or are you going to have to load in multiple systems instrumentation into this?
Device agnostic. Surgeons drill, surgeons guide wires. We are agnostic to the use because what we're here to do is to enable the surgeons to get better accuracy, faster times, less radiation. We're agnostic.
Awesome. I guess I have one last comment, which is good luck preventing off-label usage in trauma.
It's funny you say that because when we were there, hey, we can do this and we can do that. Like, okay, let's stay on IFU.
Yeah.
What you do in your OR?
Good luck.
It's on
It's up
you.
to you.
That's great. That's great. Very good presentation.
Thank you.
And definitely needed technology because of the points already made in the trauma realm. You know, the traumatologist that's up at 2 a.m. and has one eye open, and now he can have it all. So it's pretty slick. The question I had is with the fee per case. Okay, so I know you're going to have a level of COGS with your capital equipment, right? But with the fee per case, is there any disposable element to this? Is it the white handle things that we saw, or?
Yeah. And so, Chris, 3 elements of the disposable. One is there's a patient tracker, so we attach to the anatomy of interest. That's disposable. There's the drill guide that actually monitors how much the guide wire is advancing. The drill guide is disposable. And then there's obviously a drape that goes to keep over the sterile field.
Got it. I think your price point's on point. I mean, we can all thank the robot world for establishing that uh, over the last decade or so as a norm. But I think you're at the right point. How did you arrive at that mentally?
That's a great question. So, as I mentioned, our company was founded by orthopedic surgeons, and these are surgeons that actually own their hospitals. And so they have a very deep passion for not adding to the cost of healthcare, but actually reducing the cost of healthcare. So I've been given very clear direction from my founders that our intent is that we want to provide the most cost-effective way that enables them to reduce cost. So that's a strategic decision by my founders.
That's great. I assume we'd see you at OTA.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Okay.
Great. This is such a cool thing. I'll just say this because, Gabe, as I was listening to you present, and we've had Custom Surge, which is an AI, surgical planning platform out of Switzerland for trauma. And then, of course, you marry that with the pre-op planning, and then you have this technology, and then marry it with robotics, and you start to really have this very future state of orthopedics. It's pretty compelling.
Totally.
Yeah, Gabe, thank you so much. Great presentation, and thanks for joining us today. And with
Thank
that,
you.
we'll move to our final presentation with Stephen Flutie Davis at Incirqle.
Are you able to see just the one screen, TJ? Not what
We got
have
it.
here?
Yep,
Okay.
we see it.
Awesome. Give me 2 seconds here. I'll just prepping this. All right, everyone. My name is Stephen Flutie Davis. I'm the founder of Incirqle, and we are a AI native go-to-market engine for medical device companies. One platform that identifies physicians who will adopt the product and then finds those distributors who are already working in those areas. The real-time intelligence across the entire commercialization path. So many commercial teams in the medical device space make their go-to-market decisions on claims data. And so here's the problem with that. 65% of outpatient claims only carry a valid individual clinician NPI. The other 35% resolve with an organization, not a person. So you can only target you cannot target a physician that you can't identify, which means a third of the market is really just invisible. And it gets a little bit worse from there. Uh, claims uh, claims off of CPT code alone are inflating volume. A single shoulder repair can bill up to 3 separate CPT codes. So one surgery is counted 3 times, and this is a well-documented problem. And then none of the other platforms on the market even touch distribution or hiring. So finding distributors and recruiting the right people are still done by phone calls, conference hallways, and really asking someone who knows. There's not a really great data layer for either one of them. And Acuity MD has raised $83 million just on the targeting problem alone, and MedScout raised $20 million. Both are built on the same claims data, and not a single one of them touches distribution. And so Incirqle replaces the entire stack. We do physician intelligence, distributor discovery, trend monitoring, fellowship tracking, competitive analysis, all in one subscription and on one platform. And so here's how these pieces connect. A device company subscribes to Incirqle GTM to find physicians and track their market. They need distributors to work with, those physicians. So they use our RepGPT tool to search our database. They find the distributors. Those distributors they find join Incirqle for free, which finds them deal flow. So every distributor that joins makes our platform more valuable for the next manufacturer. The usage creates our network, and the network creates more usage. So Incirqle GTM, our early adopter intelligence tool, tracks real-time behavioral intelligence. And so adoption is dynamic. It's not really a static process. So we made sure to build our algorithm that way. A surgeon who adopts a robotic knee may never touch a new sports implant. So we track the behavioral signals such as publications, clinical trials, patents, conference activity, social engagement. Now, all of this methodology is built off of Rogers diffusion theory, which is a research framework that studied 6,000 innovations across 6 decades. And we've enhanced that with 70 peer-reviewed studies on physician behavior and adoption techniques. And so the result of this is a platform that helps us identify those first 16% of the early adopters and the innovators of a market who truly create the tipping point of adoption, and more importantly, who are those physicians that drive early revenue. And Signals, which is a new feature that we're rolling out just actually last week and just got our first new clients on. This is an exciting one. This is real-time intelligence layer running through social media via LinkedIn and also Twitter. So you tell this what you want to watch, and it tracks 6 categories of live activity across your specialty. You wake up in the morning and say, I want to track trauma and trauma navigation. Gabe will have whoever is posting about that in his inbox the next day. It's automated lead generation. And then we built a fellowship matching program that captures 580 fellowship programs or conference presentations and post-conference conversations. So you can track competitive launches, hiring, physician payments through this, procedure trends, and probably one of the few platforms you could actually identify who true digital opinion leaders are. So this isn't really just a static database. This is live intelligence. As soon as it's happening, you're capturing that information. And then our RepGPT tool is the distributor identification tool. Finding these distributors is still truly referral based. You can ask people you know, or if you do try to search on LinkedIn, those filters can't tell you who an orthopedic spine distributorship is compared to a dental distributorship. So RepGPT reads every single section of someone's LinkedIn profile in just one sentence. Find orthopedic trauma distributors in Memphis, Tennessee, and it'll identify them and it'll rank them and give you enriched results, all in natural language, no Boolean and no forms. So every result actually comes with a full LinkedIn history, an AI-generated summary, and specialty tags with on-demand contact information. And on the other side of our platform, those distributors who are getting reached out to get to join our Incirqle Connect platform for free. Think medreps.com, but without being paywalled.
These distributors are joining because they are finding more products, more opportunities to sell in those areas. And so on the surface, AcuityMD, MedScout, they look different. They're different branding, they're different UI, UX, there's different sales pitches, but below the surface, they're the same product. They're the same data, they're just in a different wrapper. And they're really only trying to solve one of the problems: physician targeting. There's no distributor discovery, there's no competitive intelligence, there's no live behavioral data, no fellowship tracking. They are a single point solution in a market that needs a full commercial engine. And Incirqle is that engine. Different data and not just different software. Behavioral signals trapped in real time, or tracked in real time, instead of stale volume metrics. And we're building a full, complete go-to-market solution, not just a single targeting solution. And so right now we're looking to raise $3 million out of $15 million post-money safe. We're approaching $100,000 in ARR, and we've got about $200,000 active pipeline that we look to close within the next month. We're trending towards an 89% gross margin, which is only going to get better through more usage on our platform. And this raise is looking to get us to about 1.6 million in revenue and really enhance our go-to-market efforts and help us fill out the rest of the team. Whoop, little issue on this side, but our team is myself, very small. I've been in this industry for 15 years. I was a sales rep in South Florida with Stryker and a distributor, moved out to do product development with Stryker, both upstream and downstream marketing, and then a few other sales roles. Winston is our CFO. He's a technical accountant and co-founder, which has allowed us to be very unique and aggressive in our pricing structures. And then Doug Leach, who has been with HSS, with OrthoSensor, and with Stryker, and now our board is Tom Gamache. He's 25-year entrepreneur and in the native ortho company right now. Dr. Jeff Cole, who's been phenomenal with us and helping us lead our physician investor. And then Anad, who is an MIT AI engineer who has helped us really build out our behavioral program. And so how do we grow? So far, we've done this all by flying in out of conferences, most of the time just kind of sneaking in as we see someone else. I follow TJ a few times here or there, and then out. And that's been great for us. But we needed to find another way to actually hit massive growth on this platform. So we've tried to use other native AI solutions, the sales development reps, LinkedIn Navigator, but none of them really could find what we were looking for, which is the same core feature, same problem that we try to find a fix with RepGPT. It's hard to identify someone who's actually looking for distributors. Most companies don't post jobs. So we built our very own AI sales development rep that actually scans LinkedIn in real time for that commercial intent. Someone posts that they're looking for a distributor. In real time, we capture that. That is looped back to our AI sales development rep, and the email is sent out with email tracking. So our first proof of concept on this, we found 29 new leads at 9 cents per lead that had posted in the past 30 days. So now every Friday that is running just to collect who's going out after. This was the inspiration for our signals tool. This works so well, we needed to figure out how can we bring this to the market for lead generation as well. And then where are we at? We really are just a 3-person team. We're approaching $100,000 in ARR. We have, like I said, over $200,000 in active pipeline and that 89% gross margin. We have over 200 distributors that are on our Connect platform, and that number is growing through usage, not through paid acquisition. Our AI SDR is scanning LinkedIn daily and weekly, and finding new opportunities. And we're continuing to refine what our outreach looks like. And with this next round, we can really hit supercharge on putting multiple AI SDRs out there looking for different signals. So this is a fundamentally different approach to a market that has relied on the same data that unfortunately has not yielded the outcomes that we all hoped for. And so far, we have AI across every single layer of our business, from outreach to product development, a pricing model that works for early stage companies and scales with enterprises, unit of economics that are working today, and we are really just getting started. So that said, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Good job,
Presentation.
Stephen.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.
Mike, you hadn't gone. You get to go first.
All right, I'm going to ask a very simple question. So the RepGPT, are you dependent on distributors being in the platform and registering, or are you using your AI to go out using your own LinkedIn, right, search? I'm just curious on I can go into Claude and go in through Claude and LinkedIn and find reps that way, but it's very limited. So how are you That's
Yes.
a superpower here of Incirqle.
Imagine that with 12 other intent layers built into it. So we're sourcing through 1 billion LinkedIn profiles. We've trained our model on over 1,000 LinkedIn profiles.
Okay.
600 of them did not actually match at all. So we had to train pattern recognition on that. It's like Apollo or Zoom Info, but intent for that. We were using HR technology. It just wasn't solving the problem. So we kind of reverse engineered it. Then we found all the different ways that someone presents themselves. An agency owner a lot of times pops up as a marketing person, but if it's
Yep.
orthopedic focused, that's kind of how we had to push towards it. So
So are you
imagine that just hyper verticalized in our space.
Yeah, so as I understand it, you're gonna own your own data. This is not a wrapper on a general model. This is your own model, building your own data over time, right? Increasing that data that you're
We've used the same data providers as ZoomInfo, Apollo, all of those. Essentially, they just are very horizontal. We had to verticalize what the intent was looking for there. So when you type in orthopedic distributor in Memphis with a focus on spine, it now knows who to look for and what to look for. And so there's about 12 different layers that parses through 1 billion LinkedIn profiles and then comes back with that.
Gotcha.
Which is fun because you could say orthopedic distributors in Memphis with spine that have also
Yeah.
worked with,
Yep.
whomever company, and it'll identify that.
And so I know there's lots of other startups out there. How do you handle pricing model between early stage startup building sales force of one, right,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
a right striker who may want to use this for sourcing their next reps?
yeah. So, what we found with that is in our early days, we priced ourselves pretty low, and it worked very well. Then when we went to a full launch, we realized that was holding us back because we were trying to be competitive in that pricing world from there. We also took a look at what is happening in the AI space right now. Small subscription, consumption based, get users on early, see how well they do if they need to upgrade from there. We made our early, our platform for that one person as cheap as a plane ticket. So you can get on and get access to absolutely all of that. And if you need more usage, you pay for more usage. We'll look at how you're tracking over a quarter, and then we'll upgrade you to the next tier if need be. The strikers of the world have a little bit different of a model. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's still a fraction of what they were using beforehand. I've worked kind of on the striker sports team for some time.
Yeah.
Their reps opened it 4 times and just never opened it again. So they're tired of paying that $600,000 subscription. So we find
No,
it way more
it makes
competitive than
sense.
that.
Look, if you're avoiding a plane ticket and a trade show or cost of, right,
Yeah.
that is a huge ROI right there.
Yeah. Our first principles in pricing, can we provide value on day one? Can we make it affordable for someone like we did? We bootstrapped most of this until recently. We've just raised a few $100s, sure, a few $100,000. We were never going to ask someone to do something we couldn't afford to do. So it could be a flight and RepGPT as well.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, real quick, and then I definitely Robin jump in. You know, there's a new adage that I'm thinking through as I continue to watch the AI and have been involved with exits involving AI, as you well know. And AI is going to die to AI, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's going to continue to proliferate. So my question is, who or what platform does this displace is the big one.
I don't know if it displaces more than it enhances.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain it.
Um, for recruiters for some time thought Apollo and those tools were going to replace them. I think it's truly enhanced what those opportunities and those jobs are. So for us, we aren't trying to our AI SDRs. We're not trying to replace anybody. We'd like to make them more powerful by giving them more tools. So we think that we're going to truly not displace jobs, more enhance jobs, and being able to actually lower customer acquisition costs for companies that are looking for distributors or doctors. So we
Okay.
feel like we'll be more of an enhancement of a sales team or go-to-market team.
So from a competitive standpoint, using that adage again, AI dies to AI. What is the thing that keeps you up at night as you grow this business?
No, we're not moving fast enough.
How do you stay ahead of that curve?
I have briefs every morning to see what is actually good, what's not. We're tracking everything in the AI space, and we have an amazing partnership with a Y Combinator company that is kind of helping us say, okay, how do we, because this is such a unique use case of people data And that's why we wanted to be a people data company, not a claims data company. How do we stay on trend of what's happening in the people data space and then use that in our space? Because if we're going to try to be another volume-based company, we're just getting behind those and we're going to do the exact same thing. If we can give our customers a whole different data set to use at a more cost-effective route, then we're good. But now we have to stay on track of what's trending in the AI space. And
Good stuff, brother.
yeah, appreciate
Good
it.
stuff.
Right. Great questions, Chris and Mike, by the way. So Steve, I really like what you're doing. I really enjoy that you used acuity as your benchmark and you compared yourself against acuity. It really helped kind of establish where you sit in the market. And for sure, we're all figuring out AI. And it reminds me, I was back when the internet was popping. And it's interesting to see all the new business models that had to develop. For example, streaming. That was an unknown business model until the internet came along. This is also going to create some new business models. The one piece I see, and by the way, again, let me reiterate, you have put together a really slick looking presentation and you're covering the bases nicely. The one base I don't see that I'd like you to just, and maybe you don't have a really strong answer right now for this, but the models I think that will ultimately prevail will be the ones where the users can now upload data. So
Yeah.
now your data is actually coming from your user base. And the reason that matters, in my opinion, is when you put an app out like this or a service like this, you want the user to be addicted to it, no offense, and
Yep.
using it routinely, daily, hourly, that kind of thing, not once a week, once a month, because after
Yep.
a while, they'll move on to the next thing. And if someone is able to upload information, they're integrated into the network. Long
Yeah.
preamble. How would you address this idea of uploading and creating something people want to use every hour?
Yeah. So we've custom built a few solutions to actually build out pretty much our own MailChimp for a couple companies that want to be able to upload their own lead generation to see how can they track that. So we've been able to do so and then enrich that all with their contact information. We've got a lot of bespoke opportunities for so. We've even built our own on-demand acuity version as well that pulls in all the claims data. So really trying to build within kind of what the user base is asking
You
for.
You
And
know,
then
YouTube built a nice model letting people upload and get paid.
we
Can
uploading
you
by
create a
physicians
data
or
ocean where people can upload information and get paid?
we haven't looked down that
You
model
can be
yet.
agnostic.
It's interesting.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It
And the whole
makes you
world just heard it.
Yeah. It's an interesting one for sure. The stickiness level is something that we find to be very good at. Someone joins and they want to keep searching, one, for their friends and their doctors who are making the most because it shows the financial trends. Two, the RepGPTs, you just keep finding and searching people. But the signals tool, being able to track every fellow program on match day and get that has been very interesting for people, as well as I want to see every single
terrific.
person that posted that they're attending
Yeah.
AOSSM this week. And I can proactively now reach out to all of those physicians instead of waiting for the $2,000 lead list of who might have gone. And then I could track that for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
What are the trends coming out of this? And so that we have found to be very exciting for some of our customers to be able to utilize different data that has not been
Steve,
doable.
yeah. No, so smart. No, everything you're doing is just so smart. I love everything you just said was just brilliant. Really good
Thank you.
stuff.
I
But
appreciate
remember again, AI will change your business model, everybody's business model. We haven't yet figured out how.
it.
So I'm just throwing out some ideas to illustrate how everybody's going to need to be really open to adjusting to the model based on the tool, which is AI.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. I appreciate
Great,
that. Thank
great stuff. I wish I had 3 million. I'd
you.
give it to you tomorrow.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Gabe and Weil, for joining us. And thanks for all of the audience for joining in today. Thank you, Michael, Chris, Robin, and Drew, for being wonderful, wonderful panelists. Reach out to Drew, myself, or any of the presenters if you have additional questions. on the presentations and investment opportunities. And join us next month. We're going to have a special event, an MSK Investor Roundtable with HealthPoint Capital, Neovate Capital Partners, and Vensana. So look for that. The link I just dropped in the chat. Hope you have a great afternoon or evening wherever you find yourselves. And thanks for joining us at MSK Innovations.
Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.